My name is Lindsey Curnutte, and this is On Air with Heritage Action, a podcast built for conservatives. Twice a week, we break down in 5-ish minutes or less how you can get involved today in the fight for conservative values. Welcome back to another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Today we have a special treat. We have a longtime on-air listener and also Vice President of Heritage Action, Garrett Bess, joining us today.
Yeah, thanks, Lindsay. Favorite podcast to listen to Tuesday and Thursday mornings, so good to be on here.
So glad to hear it. Well, let's just get right into it. Today we're going to be talking about some of Biden's campaign promises and what he's kind of upheld so far and what he hasn't. So let's look at a couple of them just now. I mean, he says he wants to shut down the virus. He also wants to cure cancer in his presidential time. He wants to forgive all student loan debt, give free community college to everyone. But one that I think really stands out is that he wants to put a black woman on the Supreme Court. He said that in the debates, and that's a policy priority for him. So does this priority seem a little misplaced to you right now? I mean, I know we have a lot of these radical campaign promises that he's made, but this is really one of them that he's kept so far.
Yeah, I mean, I think all Americans would support curing cancer, but the fact that he makes a whole list of promises as a candidate, and then the one seemingly that he focuses on and decides to uphold is this pledge to prioritize the race and gender of whoever he picks to the Supreme Court. We believe that the most important thing is to focus on whether somebody's qualified to not focus on exterior qualities such as race and gender. But Joe Biden has decided to prioritize the race and gender of his pick, and is probably the most radical left-leaning type of campaign promise he could have made. It's divisive. It cuts against everything that he promised to be as a unifier. And Americans don't ultimately support these types of qualifications or these tests that a president puts on, or that President Biden is putting on who his pick would be.
Yeah, I mean, there's a new poll out saying Americans don't want identity politics when it comes to Supreme Court nominations. That's out there now. And then there's also just poll after poll about how much Americans want unity in this country and how we're not seeing that right now, despite Biden's campaign promise. The biggest one, I'd say, restoring unity and restoring order to our country. But I mean, there's NPR polls, there's AP polls saying Americans are not united right now, and we're deeply divided. So Biden's move here is interesting in the way that he's kind of framing this, leaning into the identity politics of this. So I really see that he's rebranding himself now as this progressive who wants to expand diversity on the court. But does his track record back that up?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. I mean, Joe Biden as a senator he was chair of Judiciary when Clarence Thomas was having his hearings, and those were a sham designed to take down a highly qualified jurist. And then Janice Rogers Brown, who was a black female that George W. Bush had nominated to the D.C. Circuit Court, which is largely seen as a stepping stone to the U.S. Supreme Court. And Joe Biden, as senator, filibustered her not once but twice, and then ultimately voted against her on the floor. Really, Joe Biden is taking critical race theory and applying it to his Supreme Court pick.
Yep.
Instead of focusing on whether somebody is qualified and whether somebody will be the best jurist possible on the Supreme Court, he's amplifying and running a test on external characteristics of the person themselves, like gender and race. And it's divisive, and Americans reject it.
Yeah. Well, that's all completely true. But since we have you, I mean, you're more of the inside baseball. You know what's going on in D.C. in the office. That's kind of what we come to you for. Can you talk about what's coming for the SCOTUS pick and kind of what Republicans can do here to call out that CRT that's being put on the court and make sure that this nominee is upholding the Constitution, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so Biden has promised that he will nominate this person, whoever it is, by the end of February. So we have about another 3.5 weeks or so probably before we see the nominee. His State of the Union is slated for, I believe, the first week of March. So it's possible that they'll roll out the nominee in conjunction with the State of the Union in some way. They have a numbers count right now, problem in the Senate in that Ben Ray Lujan, senator from New Mexico, suffered a stroke recently and is out for probably 5 to 6 weeks. So we don't expect this to be a particularly speedy process on the front end. And so I think that what you'll see and what I would suggest is a good thing is that Republicans, once the nominee is known and has been sent to the Senate, that Republicans will try to delay this process in any way possible. And we would support that. I mean, there's talk of trying to deny quorum at the committee level. Ultimately, I think that all of these efforts will fail. The Democrats simply have the votes to move their nominee regardless of Republican opposition. And there's probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 Republican senators that are predisposed to support the nominee of the president because they believe that the president should get the nominations that they believe in. So there's definitely conservatives should not expect to block a nominee. What we should expect is for the process to play out in order to ensure that the nominee has to pass muster through the lens of Americans. That is to uphold the Constitution as we all believe in it, to not be an activist judge, and to lay partisan affiliations at the door as they put on the robes every day for sitting on the Supreme Court. And so, again, I don't think success in this effort is blocking the nominee, but ultimately ensuring that the process is rooting out any disqualified nominee as we go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're giving it to us straight. I'm glad we're not kind of playing pretend or kind of thinking of things like they won't happen. So that's great to hear. I mean, we've got to call out what we're seeing that's going on, CRT on the Supreme Court, and we're going to keep holding Biden accountable and keep exposing what's going on in D.C. for you all. So it's a great conversation. I'm glad that you could join us today, Garrett.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
That's it for another episode of On Air with Heritage Action. Thank you for tuning in. If you like what you heard in today's episode, please click the follow button. If you want to receive a text message each time a new episode airs, text podcast to 51776 and you'll never miss an episode. That's podcast to 51776. Hi, it's me again, and we need your help. If you like the insights and activist resources that we're providing, please take just 1 minute and help us spread the word. So follow, like, subscribe, and share this episode of On Air with Heritage Action with your friends and family on social media or even over email or text. We need your help to get others involved in the fight to hold Washington accountable. And don't forget, you are also able to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcasting app on your smartphone. So in-app, you're going to search for On Air with Heritage Action and subscribe so you can download episodes and listen on the go. It's the best way to make sure you never miss a thing. Thanks.